Here we go. Okay. Um, we're here today talking about the the life after you get out the service and what that means for most people. And we got our regular occurrence in Doug Watts. And our guest today is Greg. Greg, tell us a little bit about, your rank and all that stuff and where you served and how you served.
Uh, well, Greg Pffaf. I grew up here in Erie, Pennsylvania. Uh, had to change my life drastically, so I joined the Army in '99. Went through as a 12 Bravo. Went through basic AIT airborne school. Went to Fort Bragg for my first 4 years. Uh, Deployed to Kosovo during that time. Uh, was married to my first wife. We had three children together. Third one was born in my second duty station, which was uh, Baumholder, Germany, with First Armored Division, and then that was reflagged to something else right before I left. I got two rotations to Iraq there, uh, and then went back to Fort Bragg for another 5 years. Served with 2 years with Third Brigade, 82nd Airborne. Got to be their retention NCO for 2 years, and then got to go back to Smoke Bomb Hill under 18th Airborne Corps. Finished out the rest of my time at Fort Bragg there with one more rotation to Afghanistan, and then went to Joint Base Lewis McChord. Uh, Went through a court martial, fully acquitted. Um, After all that was said and done, went through Q&P directly following that, and then wound up getting stationed at Fort McCoy in Wisconsin. Retired there in December of 2019. Went to school for auto tech. Worked at a dealership for 2 years. Picked up a job at Fort McCoy at their virtual route clearance training suite, and worked there until they just closed it down
Real quick,
this last March.
can you explain to those that don't know what QMP is?
Oh, okay. That the qualitative management program. So, like, if you had some untoward blemishes on your record, because throughout my career I had one summarized, two company grades, and a field grade Article 15. Uh, Prior to all that, and so with the field grade, I was doing tattoos in Iraq. Somebody wound up with a staph infection. I admitted to doing the tattoos, and I was demoted in rank. When I was acquitted after my court martial, I was reported to the qualitative management program by my battalion chain of command, and I had to wait for them to review the record. We went through. I had a rebuttal letter for myself. My first sergeant wrote a rebuttal letter, and my sergeant major wrote a rebuttal letter, and that's all I submitted. And I wound up being retainable at that point.
Okay, so that whole QMP process is they basically get to a point where they're trying to evaluate whether they're going to allow you to stay in the military and continue your military career. And so he
Yeah.
made it through that process and was able to finish his career. The other thing he mentioned that he had a couple of Article 15s. So for the military, that's punishment, which is a uniform code of military justice. So when you do things or you get in trouble, that is the military's way of punishing you. Either they could take money, they could take your rank and demote you, or if for serious offenses like a court martial, you could actually go to military prison. So that's just for those out there that don't know what those things are. You can
Thank
continue.
you. 'Cause us civilians don't know what none of that shit means.
Yeah. I,
So,
I was I was good at pissing in cornflakes. of
I
people
get
that
I get that
outranked me
about
a
you.
little bit.
So that's good for the first question, which is motivated you to join the military? Because you sound like you was having a little bit too much fun with it.
He's a rebel.
Um, I mean, I grew up here in Erie. Came a point after I graduated high school where I couldn't keep a job. I didn't have any discipline. Running around with a group of friends that I probably shouldn't have been. Uh, Wound up getting arrested with a possession charge in Pennsylvania back then, and went to court. And I was like, "Hey, I'm trying to join the military and change my life. Get out of here, see the world, and that." So the judge dropped it to a misdemeanor disorderly conduct, and it was like a $375 fine, and then I'd be able to ship out to basic and AIT.
Hmm.
Change my life. So silver bracelet story.
Don't worry, we all got one.
Yeah,
Uh,
those things come with some clarity in life. You're
uh,
like,
uh, hey, let me tell you, I think that was like the first time I prayed.
well, that's the first time I'd ever had them.
Yeah.
18, had
Oh,
never been in any trouble. I was a quiet hellraiser. Did what I knew I could pretty much get away with when I was a
oh.
kid.
So the military was kind of a little bit of a lifesaver for you. It sounds like.
Definitely the best decision I ever made in my life. I mean, looking back where I was headed, probably not such a good life.
Yeah.
Just I didn't I didn't have any discipline. I really didn't have any pride in myself at the time. I was a very people pleaser kind of person, you know, and
Yeah.
yeah, it took a long time and a loud bang for me to have my epiphany of that changed my life personally as to, if somebody doesn't like who I am for me, well, fuck them. That's their loss, you know.
That's about right. So so what's one of your most memorable moments from being in the military?
Um, Definitely the Purple Heart that I received, the actions that resulted in me receiving the Purple Heart, because it's a funny story to me, and people are just like, what? Like, how can you be so nonchalant about this?
Well, come on, bring it on. Tell us.
All right, so 2006, I was deployed to Ramadi, Iraq, and that was, Slaughter City and all that started quieted down before that. Well, it moved
Yes.
all up north. We were theater reserve, got called up to help, placed under First Marine Expeditionary, who was a landowner. We had a building like at the intersection of two of the MSRs for Ramadi that this building was sitting in, and they kept getting fire from it, and they couldn't put accurate fire back on it because they had like bricked up windows with ports and all that. So we were on a mission to go drop this building. Basically, was our intent. So I had myself, three other soldiers from my company. We're in the middle of a platoon of infantry, and we come out of the uh, little forward operating base, or not even that, combat outpost. So it's like a really small base in the center of the city where we've got a lot of action. So we need to have like a constant boots on ground in that area. So we go out of the combat outpost. We're walking down this road, got a nice staggered trail going on, and half the platoon, half the patrol goes across this bridge. I get to the midway point, and I just hear this loud boom, and it was like a giant hand had just slapped me like you're at grandma's house doing some shit you ain't supposed to do, and she just slaps the shit out of you. Uh, what it wound up being was a 155 millimeter improvised explosive device. So really big boom boom. It was a foot and a half behind me, but they had buried it too deep and too close to the side of the bridge, and that's what saved my life. I had
Wow.
a satchel charge bag with 25 pounds of C4 on my left hip, and I got hit from the left side.
Wow.
So very lucky. It put me 10 feet in the air. So I learned how to fly that day. Like I know how Superman feels. He got some ups. Well, I got him. And then gravity decided to slap me right back down to the ground. Uh, I was unconscious. Uh, the one time I actually did get to read the report, it said I was unconscious for like 3 to 5 minutes. It wound up rupturing the left side eardrum from the 3 to 6 o'clock. Surface shrapnel, like I have gray freckles on my face. I don't know if you can see them in the video or not, but that's all surface shrapnel from Ramadi in '06. So that was fun.
So real quick, you mentioned MSR.
Yeah.
Again, let's for the civilians out there, explain them what MSR means.
So an MSR would be a main supply route. That's where all your beans, bullets, everything comes in through a main supply route, and then your alternates, or if something happens on one, you have your ASR alternate supply route. Just think of it as the MSR would be the interstate, where the ASR would be like uh
State
Route
highway or something.
16.
Yeah.
Yeah, in relation.
You got a question for him, Doug?
Yes. Let me ask you this. What was the most challenging part for you being in the combat zone?
Hmm. Uh, I'd say the most challenging time I had in a combat zone uh was my first rotation, which again that was Ramadi. My ex-wife, we were still married at the time. Like, the whole Dear John thing. I started getting bills coming in to my first sergeant. We were coming back from like the platoon I was in. We'd be out for anywhere from a week to a month at a time. No shower. We were out building combat outposts. So uh, we needed to come back onto the big base in the area, the forward operating base. We call them a FOB, so everybody knows. We weren't coming back to the FOB nightly. We didn't have a lot of creature comforts for a lot of the time we were there, and so things are falling apart on that end. We're constantly getting, under fire. We had our unit wound up with uh, what was it, the meritorious unit citation and a valorous unit citation, along with a naval unit citation, because of how many times we had troops in contact, how many Purple Hearts that the unit had. Like there was a lot going on during that time on top of everything else, and that's probably my lowest point in my life. It wasn't just the combat, it was the you know basically losing my family at that point at the same time. you know
How long had you been in the service at that point where your the family situation was starting to fall apart?
oh, my first wife and I should have never been together. I mean, looking back on it, but at that point we had been married for 6 years.
Mm.
You know, just we were two totally different people that shouldn't have been together to begin with, and stayed together because of the kids, and then all that happened along with getting blown up and everything, and I was like, you know what, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'll pay whatever support, whatever it takes to make you happy. I don't care anymore. I'm done. You
So,
know,
so let me ask you this: when you're out in a combat situation, this is crazy, but is the combat almost a relief from thinking about the home stuff?
I find combat easier than thinking about the home stuff a lot. Yeah, it's and well, and it's kind of interesting because like, is there something that you do and you practice and you're really really good at?
Yeah.
Okay, what is that?
Well, it used to be sports, baseball and basketball when I was younger, and I guess now it's music.
Okay, so you can play certain songs basically with your eyes closed. You can just be sitting there doing whatever, and then you're just playing this song. You're not even thinking about it. You're just doing it, right? And
Yeah.
it's like your whole body is in sync with each other. You're basically you're at peace, right? Like nothing else
That
matters.
no, and that's why I caught on immediately. I
Yeah.
to this day, when the world is driving me nuts, I met Doug producing music,
Hmm.
and it's one of the things anybody who knows me, I just kind of do it effortlessly. It's just the shit I do.
Yeah.
So when the world's going crazy, turn on this shit and start. I'm out. I'm gone, and it's my sanctuary. That's why I immediately caught on. I'm like, shit, god damn. So combat is this guy's sanctuary. That is a
It's
fucking mind fuck. I'm
it's
just keeping it 100. That's
it's
a mind fuck.
it's. I mean, one. I was one of the few that actually came in pre global war on terror, right? So once when 9/11 happened, I was actually in uh JRTC in Fort Polk, Louisiana, uh, on a landmine clearance lane, getting ready to go to Kosovo because they do have minefields out there still. And if you get caught in one, it's yeah, it'll clap your asshole shut. Let me tell you, it's
See what I mean?
No,
yeah,
look, man. Like I
it's
said, this is perfect. Like I'm here to ask questions for the civilians, and I'm starting to understand some stuff in 2 interviews. Wow. You go, Doug. I gotta think about. I gotta soak that in.
Let me ask you this. So,
okay.
what would you say would be what role did you trust and how did teamwork play in those combat situations that you were in?
I think you're gonna have to phrase that
Break
one a
that
little
question.
differently. I don't think I'm
Okay.
understanding the question on that one.
Okay, let me ask you this. On all those situations you were in, how
Yeah.
did teamwork play a role trusting your that guy to your right and left, that guy to your six?
Oh, it saves your life, hands down. Saves your life because I mean, honestly, we had times where we got hit with, very complex, uh, basically ambushes because we were route clearance. We had the biggest price tag on our head because we were finding the stuff that was closing down the roads and, you know, them able to actually attack, have successful attacks with the IED tied in with it, so, at that point, it's, if you can't trust the guy behind you to have his gun facing the way he needs to, then that opens you up to attack.
That's right.
You know, it's the 360 security. If everybody has their zones that they're supposed to be covering and they're in lock, like you're pretty tight at that point.
Okay. I have a
And
follow-up question. So you were in combat in Afghanistan and Iraq, correct?
mm-hmm.
What would you say the differences were? Because a lot of people think it's the same. What were the differences
um
in your in the enemy, shall I say?
um Iraq didn't. I mean, if they were going to hit us, they hit us uh usually from a distance after an IED. Like they wouldn't come close and bang. We didn't have too many suicide vest incidents when I was route clearance in Iraq. Um, we had more uh, explosively formed penetrators, the EFPs.
Hmm.
Uh, the probably the most terrifying device on the roads. Had several friends that lost their lives and several friends that lost limbs to them. So, uh, more technological backing, I'd say, in Iraq than Afghanistan, and a little more on the fanatical side, ready to strap a vest on in Afghanistan.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of a tit for tat on that one.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So EFP,
Yep.
do explain that one.
So, EFP, usually we'd find them in a multi array because we started figuring out ways how to beat the singular element by just differentiating our tactics. But what an EFP is it's basically for maximum effect. Think of you remember the little round popper caps they used to have all the time when we were kids? Flip it inside out, put it on the table, and it pops up.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, so think of that, but in the shape of a copper disc with an explosive packed behind it. It does the same thing. It flips that copper disc out and shoots it forward at an extremely high speed and forms a copper slug with usually a lot of slag around it, which is molten copper that doesn't form into the slug. So when something got hit with it, you'd see the splatter effect all around the holes just from all the slag. But that copper slug cuts through basically everything. It's quite nasty. I think the final armor that I saw to defeat that was the steel plate with the wire mesh, the bulletproof glass, and the wire mesh kind of stacked in each other to slow it down and break it up and stop it.
Yeah.
Remember that one? The big solid panels?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And then you
So
had the RPG netting around that, so your vehicle was like 8 feet wider than it should have been.
So those things will rip the body in half. Just
so
yeah.
so once you get out there, is there a certain point? And again, as a civilian, I don't really have a reference other than if you look at it from a sports situation. I know at the start of the game, there's always nervousness. I don't care how much you played, how good you think you are. There's this nervousness, and then when you get into the game, whatever it is, adrenaline, I don't know, whatever, everything just kind of mellows out. Is there? You guys are dealing with life and death stuff. Is there some point, Greg, where it just numbs? Like it's just no, like the stuff you're describing is some horrific shit. So is there this point where things just numb out and it's just normal to you?
um, everybody's different when it comes to that. Um, like for instance, when I got hit with that 155 millimeter IED, the kid that was at the back of my formation, so the furthest guy away from me, you know, it it scared the hell out of him. He did not go on the next like three missions that our platoon went on. Once I got cleared by the doctor, which was 2 days later, my lieutenant came up to me and was like, "Hey, we got another mission coming up. You're free to set this out. Like you just got blown up, so you can set this out if you want." And I was like, "No, get me back on mission, man. Like, let's go. There's nothing I can do about what just happened."
Whew. That's
Like, there's you can either accept it for what it is. This happened. I'm not going to be able to change it. All I can do is learn from it. Like I can barely hear out of my left ear. I'm deaf as can be on that side, and you just adapt.
There's one
I'm
thing I
over.
want to add to that too. So, like he was saying, he's ready to get out there. Another thing that that motivates you is the fact that all of your friends, your buddies, they're out there. You don't want to be left back,
got
and
it,
something
got it, got
happened and you're not out there. I got to be with him. If it goes down, I want to be there with him when it's happening. We going down together.
I get it. That makes complete sense. And you guys touched on that in the last episode. After all the stuff you guys had done, the guilt you carry about the ones you lose. So now I get it. So you want to get back out there because you don't want to feel that if you had been out there,
Absolutely.
maybe this wouldn't have
Yeah.
happened because
That
you
kind
know
of thing.
better. Wow,
Yep.
that's a lot of
Or
weight to hold.
if it does, then okay, at least it happens to us all.
Yep. I mean, my only thought after I got blown up and I finally like I came to on my own in the middle of that bridge. Had a lens blown out on the right eye, or no, my left lens was blown out of my eye pro. A set of Wiley X that has the frame with the lens in it that goes in a skeletal frame. It had
Man.
blown the lens completely out of its frame that the lens itself is supposed to stay in.
Hmm.
Blew that one out. So one eye's darker than the other. I poked myself in the left eye before realizing, no, nothing's wrong. You're just missing a lens. That was fun. Started hearing voices, and they're like at the end of this bridge, probably 10 meters away from me.
Hmm.
Like, so about 30-ish feet away from where I'm in this bridge, and nobody's behind me at all. Everybody had just taken off past me. Uh, so I stand up, and I kind of feel like it was the walk from you remember the movie Platoon when Willem Dafoe gets gunned down and they're taking off in the helicopter and he's got
Ah,
the M16 by his side just kind of real slow. I kind
yeah.
of felt like that at that moment because once I could get my knees under me and move, it's kind of like I had a little too much to drink. I shouldn't be walking right now kind of feeling. And
Wow.
they grab me, they throw me in this house. So I know they have the house secure. I know the medic's coming to check me out. So instead of having to put my wire all the way back through my body armor, I just start taking it off. Take my top off so he can inspect my chest and everything. And one of my other soldiers comes over and he's like, "Hey, here's your night vision goggles," because I had them in a cargo pocket on my leg, and it had blown them completely out of the pocket, blew out the pocket completely. So he had a hold of those, and I see him, and I'm like, okay, well, where's our one guy? And he's like, oh, he's up on the roof pulling guard. I'm like, all right, you're right here. All right, where's our other one? He's like, oh, he's in there with the family pulling guard. I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, anything else you need? It's like, yeah, you got a cigarette, man? You know, just let me have a cigarette, get my bearings. You
Wow.
know, it just
You
yeah.
dodged a bullet, and I mean, wow.
That was
You,
that was the biggest one. I've been hit 6 times total. All the other ones were in vehicles, and the last one, my reaction was, "Does this mean I finally get my combat action badge?"
that's what you were thinking about. So you weren't thinking about get the hell out of here. You were thinking about do I get my new badge?
Yep.
Okay.
so so in 2006, I got my Purple Heart was awarded, and I still go to promotion boards, and I went to a couple more than most people that retired as an E6, but that's neither here nor there. And everyone always asks me in the board, they're like, "Why do you have a Purple Heart with no cab? Why don't you have a combat action badge?" Because I wasn't awarded a combat action badge. I'm like, well, you don't. They go hand in hand. You can retroact that, and I was like, that's not my job. So I'll just wait until you guys deem it worthy of me to get one.
Wow.
So Purple Heart in 2006 and Combat Action Badge awarded in 2013.
Wow.
So when was your last year in the service?
Uh, 2019.
I thought that's what you said.
Yep, December
Has
19th.
let me ask you this: has any of this stuff helped you in the real world?
Um, I work construction, so as a combat engineer, that's actually part of what we did. We were the jocks of all trades. If you ever look up the fat electrician does the 12 Bravo video, he does a very on point presentation about the type of people we are. it's it kind of feels like Pinky in the Brain at that point. You know, what do you want to do tonight, Brain? Let's go get blown up, Pinky. You know,
Wow. One of my favorite cartoons of all time. Never thought of it in that way. But so,
But let me say this really quick. Like, as a combat engineer, you can work in a number of capacities, what he's saying. Like,
mhm.
you could be out there on foot looking for landmines. Uh, you
building
could be out,
buildings,
you could be building buildings, or one of the
hardening.
main ones blowing them down. We're the guys that you might see with infantry when you see them like looking for the enemy and they putting the C4 on the doors, blowing the doors off.
Mm.
Uh, we're doing that, so it's all about mobility and counter mobility. We could be the guys setting up obstacles. So you know how you know the enemy is coming towards you? Well, they may set
Mm-hmm.
up obstacles to make the enemy turn certain ways and bring them into a fatal funnel to
Yep.
to destroy them. So it's a
It's
number of things.
strategic,
Yeah, we could be in
We
technical,
tents.
technical, and strategic.
Right. So
we're
we
Wow.
usually go in front of
yeah.
the infantry to provide way
Infantry
for them to
leads the
come through.
way, but only after the engineers clear it.
Yeah, we
Gotcha.
cleared. Even if they going by
Yep.
vehicle, we clearing the routes and making sure there's no IEDs so that not only the infantry can get through, supplies and stuff like that can get through. So we're
Yep.
usually in the front getting engaged by the enemy. So again, it depends on what capacity you're in, but
Yep.
yeah, you're always in
So
danger.
it's a hell of a lot of responsibility. So Greg? What did your service not help you with in the real world?
Uh, dealing with stupid people. Definitely. No, my lack of ability to deal with other people's stupidity has definitely hit like its all-time low.
I can
Patience is
see that.
not a virtue that I possess anymore.
Well, I guess if you're constantly dealing with life and death, and then you have to come home and people can't deal with simple things, it's probably rough.
It's it is much harder to be an outstanding garrison soldier than it is to be an outstanding combat soldier, in my opinion.
Let me
It
ask you
is,
this.
yes.
As a combat soldier, right?
Yeah.
Now you're out of that environment. Can you kind of describe to us what how you view things day to day in terms of your senses, your alertness, how you react to things or how you see things in a civilian environment?
Oh, it's, oof. I
And
guess
how
the
tough is that?
the the hardest thing to deal with is driving. Like, um, thank goodness I have driven on some of the worst traffic conditions with people trying to kill me, or I don't think I would be able to drive a single day in the civilian world without road raging to a significant headline level. Like it is, you have to develop a sixth sense when you're driving somewhere that has more than like 5,000 people in a close-ish proximity, and the denser the population, it seems like just the more people are trying to kill everybody else to get to that appointment they still have half an hour to get to. I think is the best way to explain it.
People are taking
Uh,
things super seriously. It must be
it's,
hard. Now I get it. It must really be hard considering what you guys go through, and you come back, and idiots like me are trying to beat you off a chance to get over or something. It must be like,
Yeah.
are you fucking kidding
um,
me?
I keep my cool. I'm a firm believer in the stay strapped or get clapped classification of the fuck around find out style school. I am too old and too broken to be playing games. It's gonna be for keeps if it comes to it. I do not look for it by any means. I do not condone violence. However, I am not adverse to its practical applications. Yeah.
How comfortable are you in large crowds and with a bunch of things going on at this point in your life?
Uh, if I have to be around a large crowd, I will always stay towards the less packed fringes. Um, where I find that I am extremely hyper aware of most situations that I'm in. Uh, you know, my wife will be having the time of her life, and I'm just glancing around, and she's like, "Well, what are you looking at?" "Oh, well, I'm scanning this exit, and this guy looks kind of weird, and you know what I mean? Just you're seeing everything around you, and you
Enjoy.
can't turn it off.
Right.
The only time that you come close to turning it off is when you're with, you know, two or more people that you trust completely. Like we've been there. We have killed for each other. Like on a quite literal sense here. Like this is my brother, period. Anything happens, he's got my back, I got his. Where you're fully comfortable, that's the only time you drop the super hyper awareness, in my opinion.
I was having this conversation with somebody the other day about that same thing. That's just like you and I. If we go out to a bar or we just going out to have a beer or something like that, I'm most comfortable because I already know it's something that's unspoken. I already
Mm-hmm.
know that if something goes down, I know the length that you're gonna go through. And at that point, I'm not even worried because I know one or two things are gonna happen. Either we're gonna walk out there together, there's gonna be some people laid out, or uh they're gonna roll us out, but we're gonna get rolled out together. And I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
That's
It's,
that is a serious level of trust, and see how you guys get there. Because wow, it's like I said, I'm only on my second episode. I'm learning so much. This shit is a lot. That was
uh,
I'm still back. I'm still back on your normal is combat. That's your safe place.
It's,
Like is combat. Wow. Like that's
well,
something else.
But you know the
in
crazy thing about that is he's right in a sense because that's something that you've been training for years to do. It's almost like muscle memory, right? So at
mm-hmm,
that point, you're not worried about no bills back at home. You're not worried about arguing with your wife. You're not worried about any of these other things. This is something that you can do, and you're like he said, you're so good at it. Automatically kicks in when you hear bullets flying and things blowing up around you. It's almost like
it's
things like
instinctual.
yeah, the things like go slow motion, and it's like
Oh,
you automatically everybody knows what to do, and it
So
just it
that
just
comes
happens.
back to the sports analogy because a lot of times in sports, if you're good at that thing and you're having a great game, the whole thing is just slow.
yeah.
It's moving
It's like
slow.
Exactly.
you can tell when a special teams unit goes out and does a play that they have practiced very thoroughly because they are very good at it. That's boom. That's what we do.
So one of my favorite questions is only in the second episode, but I like the discussion we had last time. Is what do you do with the guy who's the knucklehead who doesn't want to flow with the go with the flow, who's making trouble in your team? How do you deal with that, or how did you deal with that?
Uh, it all depends. I mean, I've had kids that were troublemakers that you could talk to and be like, hey, look, dude, I'm I'm not here to fuck with you personally. Okay, one, I fuck with everybody. I hate everybody equally. But I'm going to train you to the best of my ability for you to be able to go out, do your job, and come back alive. Like I had several soldiers that when they first met me and came under my, direct supervision as a team leader or a squad leader, they'd come up to me after knowing me for a while, and especially after deployment, and they'd be like, "Hey, Sergeant Poff, I just want to let you know I get it. I understand why you were so hard on us. Like this shit is no joke." So you got those ones that you can talk to and everything's good. You got them other ones that you got to go a step further and you got to put it on paper. Start leaving a paper trail and threatening them with Article 15s and stuff like that. And then you got them other knuckleheads where, unfortunately, you got to put hands on them some way, and combatives classes are great for that. Just grabbing a little troublemaker up by his chunky ass neck and putting him to sleep, or scoop slamming him onto some piece of equipment to prove a point. It's all about learning how to cross that barrier with someone. Like, yeah, you're gonna hate me, but you're gonna respect me from this point forward because
Yep.
you now know that yes, I will put hands on you. I ain't afraid to. Sometimes
They
So
that's
call
all
that
the
water
problem.
wall counseling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wall to
they,
wall,
they
water
don't
to
do that
water.
anymore, but it worked. Worked for me.
Oh yeah, it's a great tool.
I received water wall counseling.
I bet
Yeah.
you did.
This,
We
this guy,
Doug
man,
used to have a temper.
yeah, this guy was a big 6'2", 6'3", 200 pounder from Yazoo City, Mississippi. His name was Sergeant First Class Diabro. Me, 6 foot, 155 at most,
Mhm.
private. And this dude, same thing, was trying to train me, and I didn't like him getting up in my face. Being a city kid, being from the city, you come up in my face, and I'm swinging, right?
Mhm.
Back in those days in the Army, they would say, if you have an issue, take it to the wood line. So
Y'all,
we were
we going to the
having
tree
these
line.
words, and he was like, I was like, let's take it to the wood line. We get out there, we in the middle of the woods. The thing about it is, whoever get whooped when you come back, that's the end of it. No rank or nothing. It's mano y mano. Man, we get out there and he taking off his blouse, and he talking. I ain't waiting for him to take his blouse off. I just run up on him. Boop, 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 boop. I hit him with like a 4-piece. Those were the only licks I got. Man, this
he
man, I was a
he ate
boy.
that shit like some nuggets.
Man, he ate
Hit him
that
with a
shit like a
4-piece
Tic
chicken
Tac.
McNugget.
Man, he whooped my ass. I had all kinds of speed bumps and ooey knots on my body.
Yeah.
And we went back after that. And after that, I like I said, I had the utmost respect for him. But how the
Mm-hmm.
story ended was I moved on. I PCS, which means I moved to another duty station in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
This was a couple of years later. And once I got there, I was winning a bunch of awards. I was a really good soldier. And man, I one day someone's like, "Yeah, there's a Sergeant Diablo here to see you." I'm like, I don't want to fucking see him. Last time I seen him, I got an ass whooping. You know what I mean? So I'm looking around for a knife or whatever. Like, it's not going to end the way it did the first time. I'm stabbing his ass, you know? And the crazy part was he picked me up, man, took me to lunch in Germany, and looked at me like, I'm proud of you. And the thing he said to me, he said, you had that city slicker attitude, that hip hop bebop. You were a civilian. It was my job to make you a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started running down stuff. Remember this time you came late to work? Remember this time you showed up late to work drunk and you were
Mm-hmm.
19? If I really wanted you, I could have gotten you. You said, what did I do? I let you go sleep it off. So I really could have I was trying to teach you something and show you something. But from that day on, I had the utmost respect for him, man.
Yeah.
But that damn
And,
wall to wall conflict definitely
yeah.
had
I'll
an
tell you
impact on
what,
me.
though, you definitely saw the shift. I'm sure you saw it while you were in, from the time we were privates to the time that,
I
I left
retired.
and then you subsequently left. Like, it's just the the leadership is more about what can I do to advance myself, not what can I do to advance my soldiers.
It's
Like,
that true.
yep,
And we
that's
kind of
one
had that
thing that,
conversation. Remember,
you
the first episode, how things have changed. We have a whole new generation of soldiers now. So that wall to wall training or counseling will get you in jail. You yell at them, and they're following the EO. It's just a whole different climate now.
Sounds like
yeah,
you guys got out right in time.
I'm
it,
glad I did because I might be in jail.
well, I got to train the reserve and national guard units up until, I mean, it was last June when I left, June
Hmm.
1st. And I mean, the reserve units, people coming through like their uniforms, I'm whew, just like, you know what, Goose Braba, you ain't in no more. It's not your problem. Like, just leave it be. Kind of like
Discipline.
when we were stationed there and we couldn't say anything to the training units. They were like, no, just tell their NCOs. Well, half of their NCOs don't even care. They're too busy on their phones playing games and stuff. You
Do
know.
you guys think that you think there's any chance it's going to get better or worse?
I think both, but I
Mm.
think it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Uh,
And the reason that I say that is it's going to take a conflict or combat, something like that to happen to put these guys in to these type of situations for our leadership to really be able to evaluate how unprepared they are, how they spent more time dealing with other issues as opposed to what they should be focusing on, which is war fighting and preparing to defend our nations against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Yeah. We used to do, hell, my first tour of Bragg, we used to do almost weekly. We'd be in the field for 2 to 3 days of the week, you know. Even in garrison, Monday, that was motor stables. That's you washed your trucks, you did your maintenance on them. got them up and running, everything else. And then the rest of the week you were training. And then the last day of the week, that was weapons maintenance before you put them away for the weekend. It was all about training
A lot
because
of
we
these
were
guys not
doing.
doing. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm pardon. Excuse me. A
Oh,
lot
you're
of these,
good.
no, a lot of these guys not doing. Remember how we were just.
Mhm.
You might get a call on Friday. Well, we're not running today. You get an alert. Ruck up. You got your ruck on. You marching. You rucking 15 miles.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? All of
Yeah.
those things that make you tough. It's raining outside. Now it's raining outside. They're talking about putting up tents. I don't know what a tent is.
Yeah.
We
I
slept
got
out.
I got a
We
shelter
slept
half when I
outside.
went to basic.
That was about it. So it's those type of things, you know,
You think
or
that's because they're trying so hard to recruit?
yes, a lot of people have
It's
a misconception about the military. So they're conforming in a lot of ways to make it attractive to so that people will join. You know what I'm saying? So
the,
a lot of it
the
is that.
the more you try to change what the military is at its heart, the more garbage you stack on top of that main mission, which is to fight and defend our country's interests. The more you detract from that with all the other bullshit, the less time is spent on the main focus. So they're not going to be ready. They're going to be the ones that during their first firefight, they clam up, they don't know what to do, and they're looking all around, and somebody winds up getting killed because nobody trained them what to do because they were too busy getting all this other bullshit training done online or in surveys, or you got guest speakers that come in for a full day of classes on how to be resilient. If I needed a class on how to be resilient, trust me, I would not have made it as far in my life as I have age wise. I would have gone down that slide a while ago.
Darren,
Yeah.
so you know how you're a musician, right? So you remember, I remember back in the day watching you program drums, actually play drums. I've actually watched you play. Remember how that whole production process was,
Hmm.
right? Now you know how, but you know how to use the new equipment now, right?
Hmm.
But you also knew back in the day how to produce a record. You knew song structure, you knew about arrangements and all of that, right? I'm
Hmm.
Hmm.
just trying to give you an analogy. So imagine that now, and you come in the studio with a young kid right now, and they walk in the studio, and all they have is a computer, and you start talking. Especially now, if that computer go out, they have no idea how to actually create. They don't know how to program the
I get it.
drums.
I get
You
it.
see what I'm saying?
So,
So that's like the difference from what the army was to what it is now.
well, I guess so. The analogy is the army used to be more analog, and now it's a little too digital.
Super digital.
Yeah. Super digital with way more stupid trainings than need to be a year. Like that for reserve units, every quarter they have an entire weekend that they got to spend on all these digital trainings that they have to complete. Like that's that's not doing anything for your guys. That's not getting them ready to fight a battle. That's not getting them ready to, take fire when they're in the middle of a convoy, delivering ammo that without it, this other base is going to get overrun. Like every cog in the machine needs to know how to fight. Period.
You
Reserve
know,
units do great at their jobs because most of them do those jobs on a civilian level. Like we got to evaluate other military occupations when we were in Wisconsin because it's a huge training base. So we would go in and we would find out everything they're supposed to know and be able to do at this point by the time they came to us, and we would grade them on that and hand up reports. And usually no matter what we said, they were like, yeah, they're combat ready.
you know what's
But
crazy? I say this about both you guys, and you tell me if I'm wrong. The weird part about both you motherfuckers is if is I get this sense that if there was a crisis tomorrow, you two assholes would be shipping back out.
You know what's funny? I'll put it to you like this: if with the force they have now, I wouldn't go. However, if he was going, Ruiz was going, and some of those guys that I know that have been there with me, and I already know how they cut.
Yeah, yeah, you can qualify it all the different ways you want. You get your
There's no
team,
questions asked.
you guys would be right back out the damn door.
That's
Yeah,
true.
you
That's
give
true.
me a team, you give me the, I'm getting up there in age. I need to make sure my family's taken care of. So, you give me the right dollar amount and my own team. Yeah. You let me surround
This,
myself with a team I know has my back. I'll
this,
stand up and
this is
bang
what
with
I'm.
anybody
This
you
is
need me
now. People, hopefully, when they see these little things we're doing, this is what the fuck the thank you for your service is about. Y'all mofos is crazy, but we need y'all.
to. Oh man, I tell you what, there is no better sleep you will ever have than after a good firefight.
You know, I tell people this all the time, right? So, you from New York City. I consider that my second home. I'm here in Detroit, right? But I grew up in an urban area, predominantly black and Hispanic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But I tell people this all the time. Since I've been in the Army, I have a whole set of brothers, right? And a lot of them
Mhm.
don't even look like me. But if it
No.
came down to it and my life was on the line, I make that phone call. You're going to look up. You're going to see white guys, Mexican guys, Puerto Rican guys, Africans. You're going to see a whole smorgasbord of men. Color don't matter. It don't
They
matter.
they
You know what I'm
they
saying?
gonna they're just gonna feel something impact them. They're not gonna hear me. They're not gonna see me. They're just gonna feel an impact. That's all.
But my whole point is, I call those guys, and they are coming. This dudes that I grew up with that don't have my back like these guys do.
I
So
look.
that's another reason I
That's some
say,
heavy stuff, man. It's you guys are going literally through life and death shit together, which takes traditional teamwork up a fucking notch. It's
Yeah.
I grew up playing a lot of sports on teams, and when you get with a team long enough, you guys kind of live and die for each other on the court or whatever.
yes,
Shit, if
exactly.
I'm out there fighting with somebody for my life and we get through that together, that's a different kind of a bond.
I
Yeah,
tell people this all the time. Is like when you go into combat. Say for example, like you one time we fly for hours. You end up in Ireland, then you end up in Germany on regular commercial planes. Then
Yeah.
you land somewhere in Kuwait or somewhere not far from Russia, and you get on that Air Force plane with a big flag in front of it, and it's you and a bunch of guys that are all crunched together with your rucksack. You got your weapon. People got grenades on them, just everything, and you looking around, and you already know that there's a great chance that some of us on this plane ain't coming back. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Just the realization that you looking around at everybody, and hell, that one person might be me. And then all of a sudden, the plane lands, right? When it lands, in my mind, it's like, that's it. It's fucking on. Whatever happens, whatever I got to do to try to get back home, it's all out, balls to the wall from now until I touch American soil. That's the mindset.
wow. So Greg, you seem strangely well adjusted. What's your advice for people when they're leaving the armed forces and it's done? Not taking a break. When you're leaving and you're done, what's the thing they need to know about coming back to the quote unquote real world?
You you need to find a small group of people that you can stay in contact with. like that you can just being able to reach out and talk to somebody at times, knowing that you have that is a great safety net for you. Um, Fortunately for me, I was actually uh, part of a combat veterans motorcycle association chapter in Wisconsin when I retired. And that helped me out a lot just because like we still had that brotherhood between all of us because we were all full patch members or, combat vets. So we all have that in common with each other. Like, we crack the jokes like, yeah, Navy invented sex, but the Army introduced it to women, stuff like that. We're all making fun of each other. Buddy, that's a Marine, Hey, bud, here's some Crayola crayons. I thought I'd bring you a snack pack. Yeah, fuck you. You know,
So, all right. So, what's the advice in terms of reintegrating with
Family.
family and friends and people like that and kids? Still figuring that one out, huh?
um, honestly, I'd have to say that the biggest lesson that I've learned, especially because like I was gone myself for like 27 years between my service and the time that I lived in Wisconsin as a civilian contractor at that point. My wife was with me for my current wife was with me for the last 10 years of my career. We were together and we're still together, but so she had about half the time away that I did, and coming back, you have to realize that time moves on. Like you are not the hitching post for anybody else when you have a certain type of life, especially with the military and conflict throughout the world. Like people have to live their lives. They have to do what they have to do to get by and do better for them. So when you come back and you're like, damn, like apparently nobody does give a shit. No, it's not that they don't give a shit. It's that they've been living their life and you have to give everything time to adjust to being there now. Because before, like I was in North Carolina, I was in Germany, Iraq, Afghanistan, Kosovo, Washington State, Wisconsin, all over the place. I was nowhere near Pennsylvania outside of, 8 to 12 hours worth of driving. That was the majority of the time, except for a vacation here and there. Now I'm here 24/7. They need time to adjust. I need time to adjust. Like, give it time, be patient, and try to understand things from somebody else's point of view will save you so much conflict.
Oh, man, we're going to leave it right there. That's the perfect way to end it. And that's great advice, I believe. Um, Thank you so much, Greg, for coming on the show.
Yeah, not
And
a problem.
from this civilian, on behalf of all other civilians, thank you for your service. And the more I hear about the service in these terms, I'm hoping everybody else is starting to get what I'm getting, what you guys really go through, and how easy it isn't. Even though you like
And
to make jokes about it, the
oh,
stories
it's definitely
is
not an
something
easy
else.
life. It's not an
Yeah.
easy life. I've lost a family. I've lost half my hearing. My I've had doctors tell me that because of how many traumatic brain injuries I've had, that I am a very strong candidate for early onset dementia. Like at some point, I'm expecting at a young age that my brain's just gonna go, and that's one of your biggest fears in life because without your memories and all that, like who are you? It's kind of like the day that my retirement officially hit. It kind of struck me like I've been a soldier longer than I've been anything else in my life, and at that point, what am I? You know, it's kind of like that.
Wow. Um, well, let's pray that you don't get early onset, and
Yeah,
you
if I
know,
do, I'll have an excuse to forget who my wife is every now and again.
This nigga
He got jokes. See, she gonna see
Always,
this now. She
always.
gonna see this now.
Oh, she'll
You
trust
know
me.
she,
She'll laugh.
you know
She's
what she
gotten used
dealing
to it.
with.
Well, thank you so much, fellas. It's been a great episode, and we're going to end it here. And you're always welcome back, Greg. We probably gonna have you back because we didn't cover half the questions we wanted to ask, so we're gonna have you back again.
Oh, yeah, anytime, man.
And we
You guys
thank
know
you
how to
so
get a hold of
much.
me.
We
Thank
thank
you
you
Yeah.
so
so much.
much. All right, fellas.